Hello, AQA, no, it's that side. AQA Computer Science students, only 10 days left. Today, a video without code on Elm Simulator, because it's the one from this year, but it's more general principle about AQA's Computer Science A-level paper 1, particularly section D. Let's have a, where am I? Here? Yeah, okay. And then, so I've loaded up a whole bunch of past papers which are going to be very useful to figure out à quelle sauce vous allez être mangé. It's a French saying that means with what dressing you are going to be eaten, as in like what a way to, but in a sort of not particularly pleasant implication. So I have dumped the, let's have a look at the EAD, electronic answer document. This is a Word doc. By the way, in the teacher note, which are quite good to check out if you get access to them. This is for teachers, but it's quite interesting. There's kind of like notes about use of the EAD. You are encouraged to train yourself, well, as a teacher, you're encouraged to train your students to use it. The students are allowed to populate like their name and exam number and whatever in advance and have everything ready. There's stuff around like line breaks in the footer, because everything, all of this stuff needs to get printed so they can get scanned. They've got like an on-computer paper, and they've made it like quite the opposite of paperless. So you do all of your work, and then it's going to be printed, and then that will then get scanned and sent to AQA, like regular exams, regular quote-unquote paper exams. And then, if on the other end the person marking it might need to reprint it to mark it and then scan what they've marked. Yeah. Anyway, the EAD, which was given at the beginning of the year in PDF format, so I can open it in good old VS Code, looks like this. There's 14 questions, but let's jump straight. So section A, I mean, like, people will look at the EAD, and sometimes, particularly when there's tables, it gives you an inkling of what's going on. This, I mean, I'm worried about like the lack of headers here. I think normally they will tend to have one. I can't remember, we speculated Dijkstra might be on the cards last year because of that. This is like a 10 mark. This might be like, there's 8 marks just on this, whatever's going on in here. And like how long it is, could be anything, could be anything. Who's to say? But like, get ready for this fun bags. And then we've got like a whole bunch of stuff. This, queues, stacks. It's only like its own question for 4 marks. So you see, there's only so much like divination you can do from the electronic answer document. What's interesting for us is to jump straight to section D, which like those, yeah, it's massive in the question paper, but it's quite small in the electronic answer document, because those are going to be filled with screenshots of your code, screenshots of your test 1 and 2. There's a 5 mark, an 8 mark, and then 2 12s. So I'm going to go in this video over like questions in the past papers of section D to figure out like, well, what, it tends to be kind of like small, slightly larger, and then like bigger ones, and like what those questions can be in general, like what this kind of scope of the work that's being asked on like a 5er, an 8, or a chunk, as we used to call it in my A-level class, of like a 16 marks, some kind of nightmare. Because, as we'll see, I think I've put this in a live, but so I wanted to do a video about it. As we have seen in the thing, was last year's 2024 question paper, boom. Okay, there's ways you can get up to like 10% of the marks, the total marks of the paper, by really not really doing very much. So it's important that in section B as well you attempt, in section B you attempt all the questions. It's important you attempt all of the coding question. That's the 1 in section B, and the 4, this year it's 4, in section D. Right, so last year's was target clear? No, this is not last year, this is 24. 24 was symbol puzzle, we know and love. Oh, look at this. Yeah, so like this one, I don't know if that was, they had the full table in the EAD. Don't get distracted. This is the bouncy number. There's a video about this. Thanks for student who actually pointed it out to me, because this is a little bit different than the usual section B. Kudos to AQA. They're doing, I'm trying to mark for AQA, and my goal is to just like go up my way in the hierarchy until I can like meet the sanatorium where the skeleton code gets written, evidently. Okay, so okay, whatever. Section D, right? So first one, that's a 5 marker. Obviously, there's always one on the test, and the rest will be on the code. And this is input validation. So your 5 marker this year is likely to be input validation. The zigzag task that's about it might not be even, it's probably not task 1. Task 1 is quitting, I think, confirming on quits. Maybe task 2 or 3, like whatever, like validating that the cells are within the boundaries of the grid. which is something, by the way, that the simulation class knows, but not the get cell reference method that is used to get cell references in the, because we already have a method for this. So this is, yeah, but in that instance, same deal. This was like a grid game, and we have columns in that instance because I don't know where we're only entering columns, whatever. So you do need a structure for the row number. So this is, this is already why it's a 5er, because we're only doing it once. Because otherwise you're doing the same thing twice, and it's like, it's either you penalizing twice or marking twice. If someone gets it right, they will get all of them right. Someone gets it wrong, they will get all of them wrong. So it's kind of unfair to kind of effectively overlap and double assess areas. That's why it's only one of them. In that instance, they tell you what to do. What method do you modify so it checks that the value at the Bayes is valid? We'll have a look. Let's have a look at the mark scheme for this one. Just like here would be good. And close this. Yeah, whatever. Okay. This is like way too big. Okay, it's going to be page down, page down, page down. Oh, hello. 12. This is, yeah, we're kind of in the right area. Oh, that's the child. Oh, there's some weird node stuff. They've got, yeah. So okay, mark schemes get examples of code and but come on. Here we go. No, that's 11 is where it starts. Okay. Right, so there's one mark on selection structure with correct condition for one boundary. We were trying to validate that the column number you're asking the user, which is something could happen this year, right? But like 2 years ago, the column number gets the user. We need to check it's between the boundaries of, I guess we index at 1 and the size of the grid. And so if you just have an if that's just checked that is largest, one boundary, right? Larger than the min, that's one mark. If you're checking that it's smaller than the max, that's another mark. And then valid, I mean, they say valid set to true, like this presumes you have a Boolean flag, implied. You can do with a select, or you can do it with a while type thing. But, like the basic conditions, which in input validation, you need to verify, that it's between two is value validation, right? Well, defending against value error or out of bound errors. You just want your number to be, your input to be between two things. Like that's 2 marks right here. Maybe 3 if you're kind of like, combine them the right way. Okay, so don't stress out. So like, let's say we get like 2 marks in this one. In this one, this is a high score thing, right? So higher score for the puzzle, right? They tell you exactly what to do. Well, more exactly definitely than zigzag. Modify the main, user decide not to attempt another puzzle, the higher score for the puzzle attempted with average score are displayed. So average, right? We need to sum stuff. Average score and higher score, right? So like you're going to need to store 2 variables. One is like, oh, if it's larger, then becomes the max, like the high score becomes variable, becomes the new high score. And the other one is like, keep adding the score, and when you finish it, you have to divide to do an average. And even if you don't know how to code this, like the point is that like create variables for average totals and highest, set appropriate start values, create a list to store all of the score for completed puzzle. You're right, you don't need to kind of work out. Suppose you could like store just the history and then you work out the max and the average, which in Python you can just do like that. Compare final score for puzzle to highest score so far. Well, I guess you can't, but like, that's the logic. Change highest score from so far selection thing, calculate new average, display, and then display it, right? And like that, this is a 6 marker, so there's 5 marks on the code and then 1 on the test. Then when you get into the larger ones, so this one has like, this is a shift operation. And we're shifting one row to the left. Interesting one, this one had some little theory questions after, right? So you've got your coding thing on it for a 12, and then you get like 1 mark for vectors. So there's the thing, yeah, when there's 2D grids, vectors are an option. They are on the spec. And like those are arguably easy mark, but that's kind of not really section D, right? It's just like, well, we get an opportunity to assess this area of the spec in section D because we've got this concept that's encountered, and they couldn't like engineer a paper question in section A that would cover it. But right, so they again telling you what to do. Like this is broken down when they complex. There's like task 1, a new method, what's its name, where does it go, and then task 2. You modify this method, it needs to do this thing. Inside the iteration structure, just to get a row number from the user, the program should right? So like this it's really detailed. Mark scheme. Whoa. Right, so go ahead. You've got a new method with the right name, integer parameters. Obviously, you need to get that right. That's one mark. The index, another mark. Iteration structure, no. But the index of one cell specify row for cells and row grids, grid size, or accept correct use of get cell. So this was the same thing. They had a 2D structure, but they would store it into a 1D data structure. So you do like a bit of arithmetic to find the right place in the array based on X and Y or row column. But there's a method that does that for you. Get cell. Ours would be like get index by whatever, right? The one we use all the time. So all the time, and I can't even remember it now, but you know what I'm talking about if you've been following my series. Just I can't believe I'm an influencer now. Store cell, right? Like, so you don't need to get it all right, and you'd be surprised how wrong you can get it and how many marks you can still get. The next one, well, two little marks for this. Extend skeletal new type of cell as a timer, location, So new class, subclass of this one, create a constructor, sets the initial value, create a method, then modify this method in this class so that it does this and that. So this is more of a fully fledged kind of end game. This is again a 14, there was like a chunk of 14 marks. And right, create a new, you've got the new class, boom, right, that's one mark, and inherits from the class and as a constructor, that's your second mark. And even if the constructor is just like init, super, whatever, which, I mean, I don't really know what they allow in examination centers now, but IDEs that used, like 2 years ago, I used to code with my students, now like full of AI and autocomplete, and you can't just like create, I mean, even with the AI features disabled, VS Code will, the moment you do the constructor, and it's a class, it's a child class that inherits something, it will put the line with the call to super. Now, this is where you have to do something a bit more substantive, I suppose. Selection structure, decrease value, overrides, infinite. Is there there's no new method. This gets more complex to get those marks, right? But I think we can get like 1, 2, at least 3, right, in each of these. So that's kind of 12 marks for the thing. Let's have a look at the section B1. So the question was, it's like it's kind of arithmetic thing, right? Like you enter a number, and then you have to do a whole bunch of stuff for it to verify whether it's like it has certain mathematical properties or not. And yeah, there we go. Boom, identify an iteration structure is needed to repeat the number of times based on the number of digits and user based on user. So identifying, right? So like if you just like, you can't get it working because you can't like separate the digits and put that digits inside a loop. If you've got code that looks like it's trying to do that, because that's AO3, not AO3 programming, right? They're all both called free, but they've got those assessment objectives because I'm not going to get into the theory of it. I'm sure I agree with it. You need selection structures, variable suitable data type. So each input, user input being appropriate to assigned to an appropriate variable, right? So that just means like var or whatever you call it equals input bracket, right? They don't say that we need to cast it to an int, or in that instance you will need to break down the digits and then store it. Your iteration structure, so indefinite iteration, that would be a while, right? Attempt to get user input. Repeats the correct number of times, one fewer. That's actually one less. There should be one fewer than the number of digits. I hate to kind of be the annoying grammar fascist compared to, selection structure. So you can have something that's like, trying not to be judgmental here, but like a steaming pile of slightly erroneous and chaotic student work, like an absolute dog's mess, and like you can still scrape a lot of marks. So attempt all the question, have a go. I mean, most things you can do is waste time, which I guess like on the day is quite precious, but still. So 23, this was bloody, oh, I like this one. Yeah, this is such a good one. I said this one. Is it this one? I mean, like there's a couple of those. Sometimes they start section A with basically a riddle. And it's like, how is this computer science? But it's a thing. And so I would, this is something I would show sometimes even down to my year 7, maybe not this particular one. This particular one I would show to my year 10 at the beginning of the GCSE to go like, why is this computer science? Because I suppose it's discrete mathematics. And not everyone likes those, obviously. And the people who like them. It's Marmite, right? People like them a lot. People who hate them absolutely loathe them. And then we've got some of that fun stuff. Oh, hello, finite state machine, big like Turing type. This was 2023. Right, section B. So this is, this is interesting because like most of the section B stuff is, the user inputs a 4-digit number and then it needs to verify that the sum of the squares or whatever, something arithmetic about the number. And usually it is like, you just do the thing and like you're marked on the actual maths question, not on verifying that the user's inputted an integer, that the user has inputted an integer that actually happens to be 4 digits exactly. So it's got to be between 1000. I mean, if you do leading zeros, whatever, but like there's a whole bunch of input validation that you don't need to do, because if you have to do that, there's so many marks, you can't even get to the actual question you're trying to solve. And so all through that year, 22, 23, I was reading to my students, don't worry too much, it's the input validation, just like assume that you're fine. And I didn't really train them enough on input validation. And when this came up, I felt a bit ashamed, particularly since, that one. And that one, you just need to remember your CHR, that will take a number and cast it. You don't need to know that for 26, whatever, but still, CHR takes the integer, gives you character, ORD takes the character, gives you the number in the ASCII table. So how is that marked? One wonders. Generously, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for here. I don't know if you do control. Yeah, control is a new tab, isn't it? 23 ms. Okay, that's going to be too big. That's going to be too small now. Trace table, trace table, trace table. Am I looking at the right one? Yeah. So this is some sort of design stuff. Do you need an iterator structure based on the length of the string used by the user? A nested iteration is needed. Because what? User input assigned to an appropriate variable. Correctly get the ASCII code for a character. Add ASCII code to character for total. So if you do those bits, I think there's still this 3 marks you can grab there. I don't know if I want to do all of them, but I really encourage to have a look. Then we can start speculating about like what's going to be. So the 5 probably input validation in this year, right? Like there's a 5, an 8, and 2 12s. So the 12s, you're going to need to create classes. One thing you can, if you want to sort of speculate, which I really shouldn't do, you should be prepared for anything and like have a broad coverage. But still, if you want to play a little bit more tactically, one thing you can think about is how testable is a given task. And we can see that like some of the zigzag tasks that we've done, I say we, the royal we, I mean like hopefully you'll have done them with me, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be done, and then the test is like, well, just like run a simulation, like go 15 cycle or 15 stages, whatever, and like display, and like, oh, you've got this type of amount, or like you've got this or whatever's going on. But it's not really testing a whole bunch of edge conditions that they've asked for this. So you got to bear in mind what is actually testable within a screenshot. So that would mean stuff that would give a message. It needs to make sort of visible changes. So in the QP, so 23 was this was Dastan, absolutely dastardly. Section D. Right, use move option offer in the Dastan class. Change to check the choice. Oh, look at that. Check that the choice is valid. And if valid is between 1 and 5 inclusive. Keep getting the player to enter a value until a valid choice has been made. I mean, I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I will check like how many of them I've got an input validation question as the first section D question, because if that's a pattern, then I think that might be one that's worth being aware of. Okay, so modify the method in the Dastan class, so it checks the value until valid, an appropriate error message should be displayed, and you loop. Do we loop? Surely we loop. Keep getting the player to enter a value until the valid choice has been made, and that's 4 and 1. That's your 5 marker at the top of section D, and no, this is what? This is 24, sorry. 23 mark scheme is here. I should really remember the question number. Yeah, iterative structures contain a code that gets the choice for the player. 1 correct condition, both correct conditions and correct logic, display the error message, and that's your 4 marks. Quickly, let's have a look at 22 QP. 22 was text? No, not text adventure. Text adventure is an A. Oh, food magnate? I don't know. I've kind of done I've done a lot of like the past one, like from, before I taught AQA A-level or taught at all, frankly. And so I'm familiar with a lot of them. I'm not super sure like which ones are from. I know I use a couple from the AS level. I'm getting distracted now. Oof. Oh, it was breakthrough. Yes, with the breakthrough, and it's not just breakthrough. It's breakthrough exclamation mark. So breakthrough, which was a fun like lock picking game with cards. They really tried to be cute on that one, and I'm not saying that like no shade. I suppose as your generation might utter. Okay, it's 20 minutes, way too long. Right, is that the first one? Yeah, okay. Get discount pleasures breakthrough class. Oh, it checks that the choice center is valid. And GNP and the only valid choice, and 4 marks, 1 marks. I'm not even going to have a look at the mark scheme because we know what's going to be in it. 2021 question paper. Now this one did not happen. This was still during the C times, but still, let's see. We're not even looking at like how it was marked or what was going to be in it. We're just looking at the hello. No, not this one. Hex grid. Ooh. Hello. I don't know this one. That looks exciting. Okay, section D. Right, destroy piece and count VPs. What? I've not messed with the 22 skeleton code. Oh, just because I'm looking at 21. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So I didn't know this one. Right. Ooh, this is a bit fancier, right? But like there's the which method in which class. Oh, okay, I stand corrected. But is this a 5? This is a 6 marker, bit larger. But yeah, 5 mark, I mean, it's likely to be input validation. What's the next one? Is that an 8? What's going on there, right? Like it's an 8, new class, subclass. Actually, that's a lot of changes for just an 8 mark. But maybe they're easy changes. Who knows? What's next in this one? Ooh. 9 marks. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to sort of yeah, I don't want to sort of underemphasize this. Like, just I'm trying to kind of like pep you up, saying, yeah, it's not that hard. Like, you can still get some mark. Like to get them right, you kind of need to be familiar with the code. But I mean, this one, right? This is a new method, but not a new class, right? That gives you the level of complexity. Not that classes and inheritance are always a thing, but you know, a new subclass that's like immediately 3 marks to kind of validate, which means that, yeah, you know about the size of the question. Certain things come with like, you know, bulk of marks that you can gauge. So it's likely that our 12s will involve new subclasses to the end class, like a new type of aunt. I can't really comment on anything else. I don't know if they are actually. Well, let's have a look. Original def space. Oh, can I do this in the terminal? Yeah, if I do like def space in are we not doing grep? Like this is not Linux. If I was on my Mac, I'd be able to do that. How do I grep? Whatever. If you look for all of the methods that are defined, and some of them may not be called, that's a clue, right? Like if there's a method that's there, but it's not called in the existing code, there's definitely a question that it needs to be used somewhere, or maybe it's a distractor, but like that might be something to speculate about. But ultimately, you know, even if you were to be given the like the full set of questions for this year's section D in advance, and you knew what's going to be there, what would you do? You'd like try to do them timed to see, well, at least I'm kind of, you know, you're overfitting your neural network, you're training for those specific questions. Now, in order to do those time well, you can kind of like try and train yourself until you do them on time. But if there's stuff that requires, well, you need to create a new class, and then you need to say like delete ounce that have died, or delete pheromones, which is like this design pattern we've used like a gazillion times in this code. Or you need to make sure that they're in that location and go there, or you need to change the logic that moves a worker on. All of that stuff, you can learn it on like the 4 tasks that you've known in advance we're going to be in this year's. But the best way to learn it is do like a wide variety of tasks that kind of have a, is, you know, use all of the concepts you are going to be using in this year's Section D questions so that you are prepared to hopefully meet the challenge with many types of tasks. But the key thing here is like, don't panic, definitely try all of the coding questions. Because as we've seen, you will get marks. So, you know, if you get like 3 per question, 3 times 4, like tallied up in the live stream, and I came up with like this basically 14 easy marks between section B and D. And so that's like 10% of the 140 marks of the whole paper, which is like 5% of your actual marks. So was it like 20 and 10? But whatever, there's this large amount. To be fair, it is also true of like, you know, your 9-mark essay questions or your 12 marks. Heavens for fan, God forbid. But still, right? Like, try all the questions, breathe deeply, remember your training, as they say in kind of like war movies and stuff like that. But yeah, you'll be fine. Plus also, you will literally have forgotten all about this and about my YouTube channel within like 6 weeks of at least paper 2, which is like a week after. Right, thank you for watching. I will be publishing more in the week, obviously, before the actual paper.